Thursday, November 17th, 2016. Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I like to talk about the Indian cash crisis that we've heard of in the last few days. Basically, the Indian government banned 500 rupee and 1,000 rupee notes, and they gave people 4 hours to exchange them for the new notes, and they also put a limit of how much they could exchange. And I've had a few viewers ask questions about what I think about this, what's happened in India. I've had a look. To be honest, don't know too much about India, but I've done a little bit of research. So there's a couple of articles here, and there's a pretty good article from bbcnews.co.uk, and it says why India wiped out 86% of its cash overnight. Well, they go on to talk about how India, there's a lot of tax evasion in India, and very few people pay tax in India. And I quote from this article. It says, according to the figures published by the government early this year, in 2013, only 1% of the population paid any income tax at all. So Indians don't pay too much income tax. And the other thing is, about India is that tax as a percentage of GDP, according to this article here, is 17% of GDP, while for OECD countries, which are mainly the Western countries, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is, the article says here, a club of mostly rich nations. The rate for these countries is 34% of GDP, of tax to GDP. India is only 17%. So a lot of people in India, from the very rich to the very poor, they stash cash away. And it looks like in India, a lot of the business is done through cash. So what it looks like the government wanted to do is to shock people, to bring, to drain all this cash from they call it the black market cash, into the banks. And you could bring in as, and if you brought in above a certain amount, I think it was 2,900 pounds, which is the amount over which you have to pay income tax. If you brought over that amount, you had to prove that you paid tax, or else, they'd take your money away. So it's quite a draconian way to try to get people to pay tax. But one thing I wanted to look at, because usually, in third world countries, or even countries like Italy, there, tax evasion, because there's a difference. Tax avoidance, you do it legally. There's legal ways to avoid tax, but tax evasion, that's considered criminal. So Italy, for example, it's almost like a national pastime to evade taxes. And why is that? Well, in my opinion, it's because of corruption. Systemic societal corruption, and the general public doesn't trust the government. So they feel like paying taxes is like being how can I say, giving money to people who are going to pocket that money and not use it for the public good. To build infrastructure, to use it for the good of the country. I think in India, I've found out here, there's even in Wikipedia, there's a page, a Wikipedia entry, and it says corruption in India. So it looks like corruption is a problem in India. And I'm not surprised, even though, as I said before, I do not know much about India. But it says here, As of December, and I quote, as of December 2009, 120 of India's 524 parliament members were accused of crimes under India's first information report procedure, wherein anyone can allege another of committing a crime. So, and it says here as well about the Indian bureaucracy. That's one thing that I know about India. They're famous for the inefficient and huge bureaucracy. And it says a 2005 study done by the Transparency International in India found that more than 62% of the people had first-hand experience of paying bribe or peddling influence to get a job in a public office. Taxes and bribes are common between state borders. Transparency International estimate that truckers pay annually 3.3 billion in bribes. So I'm not surprised, that there's a lot of very little people pay tax in India, and there's a lot of tax evasion. And the other thing that the government is trying to do is to bring people to use banks. A lot of the Indian economy is done through cash. So by bringing everyone into banks and using cards, they think that they'll have a better chance of monitoring tax evasion and making sure they get more tax receipts. I'm not sure if that's going to work. I'm sure people, unless Indian society changes radically and corruption dies away, I think people in India will find a way to evade taxes. And as to do with precious metals, I know that Indians save a lot of their wealth in jewelry. They like 22 karat jewelry. We've heard of the Indian weddings. The Indian brides. They get a lot of presents in gold. So I think this could even increase. Could increase, of course, the amount of gold that people buy, because instead of holding cash now, with the danger of this happening again, they're going to start probably holding more gold. That could help even more for gold demand in India. So yeah, that's what I think of this. I think a lot of people, I've seen some headlines and videos, and I haven't looked at them in detail, but the headlines are, oh, this is a world war on cash. It's a war on cash. Partly for India, I think it's more to do with their, with their tax system, I would say. And I don't think it's because the Indian banks were in trouble or anything. It's just the government trying to, get more people's money. So that's the situation in India. Please comment below, if you're in India or you know more about India and I've made a mistake. But yeah, it just looks like some kind of tax, a way to get more tax from the Indian people. And we'll have to see in the future if this works or not. But reading the article here from the BBC, most people think it was done a little bit not very well organized. But one thing that they did well, actually, the government, is that they were able to keep it so secret, because it wouldn't have worked if it had leaked out that they're going to do this. And they printed loads of the new 500 rupee and 2,000 rupee notes before this. So they were, they did a great job, the government, of keeping it quiet. So yeah, that's it for now. The Indian cash crisis. And apparently a lot of poorer people actually agree with what happened in India, because a lot of the very wealthy Indians keep a lot of cash. So that might help, get more taxes from the wealthy and maybe improve things. I don't know. Personally, I think taxes should be minimal, and I don't agree with the income tax. There should be other forms of tax, maybe consumption tax, and it should be 17% of GDP, that's pretty good, I think. It should be even lower. I don't think India should try to, try to copy the OECD countries and go up to 34% of GDP. If anything, they should try to get lower. But they need to clean up their act in terms of corruption. If they could do that, they get more tax receipts because people, would feel more confident about their government. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Share it far and wide. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. And if you'd like to donate to my channel, there's some links below in the description. I accept Bitcoin, BitGold, PayPal, and Patreon. Take care. Goodbye.